What's up, everybody? TRU Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the TRU. Today, doing the 2021 TRU Boxing Awards continue, and today we are doing title win of the year. So basically, any kind of title win. But also, I include unification bouts. I consider those title wins because when you go into a unification bout, even though you're already a champion, you're trying to add to your belts, which means it's more prestigious if you become a unified champ, or if you add another belt, or if you become the undisputed champion. That's winning titles. That's, making you bigger. So I do consider those title wins as well. So we're going to go through every division, and it's just like the title defense was. If you had any kind of title defense, successful title defense, that's included as a candidate, and then we'll see who breaks my top 5 at the end of all of it. But we're going to start in a 122-pound super bantamweight division. Super bantamweight division, and see the title win of the year over there. Well, we had 3 of them. So from 3 to 1, number 3 is Stephen Fulton's 12-round unanimous decision over Angelo Leo to become the WBO champion. This is a mandatory fight. They were supposed to fight last year, and Fulton tested positive for COVID, so he had to back out of the fight last minute, and Leo went on to defeat Tremaine Williams by unanimous decision and stayed undefeated and captured the belt. So this fight had to happen. In January it took place, and I really thought Angelo Leo, just having that experience from the Tremaine Williams fight, was going to beat Stephen Fulton, and Stephen Fulton worked Angelo Leo. He did. He beat him to the punch decisively, just outboxed him and outclassed him, convincing unanimous decision win as he captured his first world title. That was a big one. Number 2 on the year goes to Brandon Figueroa's 7th round knockout of Luis Nery. These two guys everybody knew this was going to be an all-action fight. Figueroa was undefeated, and so was Nery. But Nery, this was only his second fight at 126, as he had won the vacant. 122, as he had won the vacant title against Aaron Alameda in September of last year. So there was a lot of people like me that predicted the outcome, that Brandon Figueroa's size was just going to be too much for Nery, and that ended up being the case. But Nery fought his ass off. It was a good fight, but Brandon Figueroa was just ferocious. Even if he was losing on the cards and getting hit with the better shots, he kept coming, kept overwhelming Stephen Fulton, and then he finally dropped him with a hard body shot in the 7th round, and Nery was done. Brandon Figueroa captured the WBC title with that win and pushed forward. But the title win of the year, pretty easy here. Stephen Fulton's majority decision over Brandon Figueroa to unify world titles. This was a big fight, really, because of how open the division is. We needed another unified champ. We already got one in MJ Marajan Akhmadaliev, and people wanted to see another one to see if we could get an undisputed this next year in 2022. And this one delivered. We knew it was going to be a good fight, and I predicted Stephen Fulton to win by a wider margin, but Brandon Figueroa showed all heart, and Stephen Fulton really had to dig deep because he was landing the cleaner, better shots, but we didn't know what kind of fight, what kind of ending it was going to be, because Figueroa was landing more and was pressuring Fulton, but Fulton weathered that, fought well, and got the win. Unified titles, big win right there. That's the 122 pounds title win of the year. 126, we had another 3 candidates. First up was Kid Galahad's 12th round TKO of of Jazza Dickens in their rematch. This was no surprise. They hadn't fought since 2013, and they just ended up being the top 2 guys available to fight for the vacant title. And Galahad just worked the Dickens again. He proved why he's so talented by just dominating the action. Ended up beating up and bloodying a game Jazza Dickens, who had a lot of heart, but he just couldn't keep up, and he got soundly outboxed and outclassed, and the fight was finally stopped prior to the 12th round. Now, number 2 on the year goes to Lee Wood for his 12th round TKO of Shu Kan of China. This was an upset. It took place in the United Kingdom, but nobody saw this one coming. Shu Kan throws over 1,000 punches a fight. The guy just is fun to watch, all action, but he hadn't fought in like 20 months. And I think ring rust had a lot to do with this, as Lee Wood just went in there and beat Can to the punch consistently, hurt him, and then finally in the 12th round he finished him to leave no doubt and capture the WBA regular title at the time. But the title win of the year at featherweight for sure, in my opinion, goes to Kiko Martinez for his 6th round knockout of Kid Galahad. This one, nobody saw this coming. Kiko's a former champ from 122, you know, and he had lost the fight up at 130 to Zelfa Barrett earlier in the year. And, you know, he was being brought in just as a stay busy opponent for Kid Galahad, who had won the title from Jazza Dickens, as we talked about in August. This was supposed to be just kind of a cruise job to get, you know, Galahad a second fight in and to, you know, keep him busy ahead of bigger fights. And Galahad was dominating the action. He hurt Kiko, almost put him down in the first and second round, was just putting it on him, outboxing, outclassing, and just there was no doubt he was winning the entire fight. And then at the end of the 5th round, Kiko landed a monster overhand right and hurt and put Galahad down hard. He got up, he went back out for the 6th, even though he shouldn't have, and he got caught with another one and laid out for good, as Kiko Martinez became a 2-division world champion with that win. So that is for sure title win of the year at featherweight 126. Now 130, we have 4 candidates. Kenichi Ogawa is number 4 for his 12-round unanimous decision over Azinga Fazil in November to capture the vacant IBF title. Ogawa got moved into position when Shavkat Rakimov had to bail out due to an injury, and he took advantage of it. He went in there and dominated Azinga Fazil, put him down 3 times. It was actually, he didn't dominate, but he won convincingly on points. But Fazil was in the fight, and it was a good fight, but Kenichi Ogawa just proved that he still got what it takes to compete at the highest level, as he captured the vacant IBF title with that win. Number 3 on the year at 130 was Roger Gutierrez's 12-round unanimous decision over Rene Alvarado in their rematch, as he captured the WBA regular championship. Heading into this one, Alvarado had won the first fight years before by a knockout, and he was, you know, rolling into this one. And most people thought he was going to win, but Gutierrez went in there. He hurt Alvarado early in the fight, put him down a couple times. Alvarado found his feet and seemingly outworked Gutierrez, but it was a close action fight. And then in the 12th round, what we didn't know at the time is that Gutierrez knocked Alvarado down, and that really was the winning point, because because Gutierrez went on to win a close by 1 point unanimous decision on all 3 cards. So that final knockdown won the fight for him, as he became the WBA regular champion with that win, and really threw himself into the mix at 130. Now, number 2 on the year goes to Shakur Stevenson's 10th round TKO of Jamel Herring. Heading into this fight, you know, there was some that, you know, it was to be Stevenson's coming out party, trying to become a 2-division champ, but it was definitely on paper the toughest opponent he was going to fight. But stylistically, I thought Stevenson was going to dominate, and he went out there and dominated Jamel Herring with ease, pretty much. He just picked him apart. He was mean, he was aggressive, he bloodied Jamel Herring, and the fight was finally stopped in the 10th round, as he became the new WBO champion with that big win. But the number 1, the title win of the year at 130, without a question, goes to Oscar Valdez for his brutal 10th round knockout of Miguel Berchelt to capture the WBC belt. This is a big upset right here. Valdez was a champ at 126, but nobody gave him a chance against the highly regarded Miguel Berchelt, who is pretty much the top dog at 130 for the last 2-3 years, and was rolling. You know, he really, nobody even fought him tough in the last 3 years. And Valdez just beat him to the punch, outlanded him, was just dominating him. And then 10th round, he face planted Miguel Berchelt, put him down hard, ending the fight and becoming a 2-division world champ with that win. That was very big. Now 135. There's only one candidate, and that goes to George Kambosos' 12-round split decision over Teofimo Lopez to capture the unified lightweight title. This was was a big upset right here. Kambosos came in as the mandatory #1 contender, was undefeated, but most people thought Lopez was going to roll right over him. And Kambosos, in the first round, when it looked like he was going to go down, landed a monster right hand that put Lopez down. And then from there, it became, can you top this type fight? Kambosos was outlanding Lopez, but Lopez was coming forward, headhunting at first, and boxed a little bit and seemed to take the momentum back and put Kambosos down. And then Kambosos finished it off with a fantastic championship rounds, winning the fight by a split decision and becoming the unified light heavyweight champion. 140, we have two candidates. First is Gervonta Davis, his 11th round TKO of Mario Barrios to capture the WBA regular belt. This was a secondary title, but Davis moving up to 140, people viewed that as a serious challenge, and it was. Mario Barrios was very much in this fight, and it was going back and forth, great action fight. And then Davis, though, his boxing ability in the late rounds after he hurt Barrios, he poured it on, and in the 11th round, he hurt Barrios bad, put him down, and knocked him out in a close fight, and captured a championship in the third weight class, But the #1, for sure at 140, without question, was Josh Taylor's 12-round unanimous decision over Jose Ramirez to unify all 4 belts and become the undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world. This was monstrous. To become an undisputed champion is a rare feat. And 2 undefeated champions, both held 2 belts. And it was a competitive fight early on. And then Taylor hurt Ramirez badly and put him down twice, almost finished him, and was seemingly cruising. And then Ramirez came back as Taylor tired a little bit. Ramirez came back late in the fight, made it a little closer, but Josh Taylor went on to become only our, I believe, 6th or 7th undisputed world champion in history of the 4-belt era. Big time win right there. 147, only one candidate. That goes to Radzab Butayev's 9th round TKO of Jamal James to capture the WBA regular belt. Butayev was undefeated coming in, but Jamal James was a veteran and a slick boxer, and a lot of people thought Jamal James was going to win this fight walking away, but Jamal James decided to slug it out with Butayev. He kind of got forced into that fight, in all fairness, but instead of trying to box and use his height and reach, he decided to slug it out, and that was a mistake, as Butayev just overwhelmed Jamal James, stopped him in the 9th round, and captured the WBA regular championship. 154, only one candidate. That goes to Brian Castaño's 12-round unanimous decision over Patrick Teixeira. Excuse me. Castaño coming in, he was the favorite, but a lot of people were expecting a firefight in this one. And, Teixeira had his moments, but Brian Castaño just overwhelmed him. He shut Patrick Teixeira down, got inside of the height and reach, took Teixeira's shots, and pressed forward, and ended up walking away with a unanimous decision win. That was a big one. 160, only one candidate, and the winner goes to Erislandy Lara for his first round knockout of Cornflake Lamana to capture the WBA regular middleweight title, the vacant belt. Lara was moving up in weight. He was already the champ at 154, and he was moving up to test the waters at 160, and he went in against Cornflake Lamana. First round, totally crippled Lamana with a one-punch left hand, knocked him out, and captured the WBA regular belt in a big win. 168, we had 2 candidates. Number 2 goes to Canelo Alvarez for his 8th round TKO of Billy Joe Saunders, the unified belts. Canelo came in with the WBC, WBA belts, and Billy Joe came in with the WBO title, and they were unifying, hopefully, for the winner to go after undisputed. And Canelo, it was a good fight. Actually, Billy Joe won a couple rounds and was boxing decent, but Canelo kept stalking and getting closer and getting closer. And, around the 7th round, you saw that he was just inching in, and then in the 8th round is when he landed that brutal uppercut that broke the eye socket of Billy Joe Saunders, and Canelo just smelled the blood in the water and went after Billy Joe. At the end of the round, his corner asked him if he wanted to continue, and he didn't say anything, which to me means I'm done. And The doctor proved it, his broken orbital bone, and Canelo unified three titles in that with that win. And that was number 2. But number 1 absolutely goes to Canelo Alvarez for his 11th round TKO of Caleb Plant to unify all 4 belts at 168 and become the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. Again, this was, I think, the 7th time in the 4-belt era that an undisputed champion was crowned. And Canelo wanted to become the first Mexican to become an undisputed champion of a division. And he went straight. It was the same kind of deal as Billy Joe, except in this case, Caleb Plant didn't hit as hard. It was kind of pitter-patter. Plant had his moments, but Canelo just kept coming forward, stalking, walking through everything, landing shots, and finally he just overwhelmed Caleb Plant in the 11th round. A left hook put Caleb Plant down hard, and then the follow-up barrage finished off Caleb Plant as Canelo unified all 4 belts and became the undisputed super middleweight champ. 175, light heavyweight. There was only one candidate, and it was Joe Smith Jr.'s 12-round majority decision victory over Maxime Vlasov. This was to capture the vacant WBO title. This is a good fight right here. Vlasov came in unafraid, and Joe Smith, I think might have been overlooking him a little bit, and it ended up being a really good back and forth fight, and Joe Smith walked away with a close majority decision to capture his first world title. So this was a pretty good fight right there, but Joe Smith gets the nod. 200, only one candidate, Lawrence Okolie, his 6th round knockout of Krzysztof Glowacki. Heading into this one, Glowacki hadn't fought in 2 years, but in this title fight had been put off countless amounts of times. But Okolie needed to, prove himself. He hadn't really been in a ring with anybody of Glowacki's level, and Glowacki was a 2-time champ. But Okolie proved himself with flying colors as he was dominating the action, outboxing, then landed a monster right hand, putting Glowacki down hard, and went on to his 6th round knockout win as he captured the vacant WBO belt and his first world title. And then heavyweight, we got 2 candidates. Number 2 was Trevor Bryan's 11th round TKO of Bermane Stiverne to capture the WBA regular belt, the vacant one. This belt had been put off for a while. Finally, the belt went vacant, and Trevor Bryan was allowed to fight for it against the former WBC champion, Bermane Stiverne. And Trevor Bryan ended up being a good action fight, but Trevor Bryan took over, stopped Stiverne in the 11th, and captured the secondary belt. But absolutely, the title win of the year at heavyweight was Alexander Usyk's 12-round unanimous decision over Anthony Joshua to capture the unified heavyweight championship. This is a big win right here. Joshua, most people thought he was just going to be too big, hit too hard for Usyk, and he got forced into Usyk's fight. He ended up fighting, trying to outbox a master boxer in Usyk, and Usyk just ate him up. It was a clean 12-round unanimous decision, huge win right here, and that is the title win of the year at heavyweight. So now we're going to look at my top 5, and I have a 2-way tie for 5th. First up is Canelo's 8th round TKO of Billy Joe Saunders. And again, it's all about impact, guys. You got to understand the impact of this. Billy Joe is an undefeated 2-division champion, and Canelo had 2 belts and was his goal was undisputed. And he's the biggest name in boxing. He's a pound-for-pound king. And he went after Billy Joe, a loud, talkative, slick southpaw. And Canelo went in there and just kept stalking, unified 3 of the 4 belts at 168, and moved on, and that's why this was such a big title win, because of what it led to. And that's a big deal, is opportunities that wins lead to make that win even bigger. And that's why this one finishes tied for 5th. Tying it for 5th goes to Oscar Valdez for his 10th round knockout of Miguel Berchelt. This was a huge win right here for Oscar Valdez. It restarted 130 over. It opened the division back up and let everybody know that a younger, undefeated fighter was at the top now, because Valdez went in there and just obliterated Miguel Berchelt, dominated him, and brutally knocked him out in that 10th round, and left no doubt. Miguel Berchelt was sitting at the top of the division, and Oscar Valdez really went in there and put his stamp on things with that knockout win. So that's tied for 5th. Now, number 4 goes to Josh Taylor's unanimous decision over Jose Ramirez to become the undisputed champion at 140 pounds. It's tough putting this fight at number 4, but, you know, given the fact that they're not two huge names, you know, they're big names, but I'm talking huge, massive names, is why this fight is, you know, at number 4. But this was a very big win as Taylor became the undisputed champion, and that's a rare feat right there. And he went in there, 2 undefeated champions going at it, and Josh Taylor just, with those 2 knockdowns helping, he just outclassed Jose Ramirez, a very game fighter, and outworked them and became the undisputed champion. Big time win for him, and boxing right there. Number 3 goes to George Kambosos for his 12-round split decision over Teofimo Lopez to capture the unified lightweight championship. This is a big win because Lopez was sitting at the top of lightweight after defeating Vasily Lomachenko last year. You know, so Lopez was a huge star coming into this fight, and a lot of people wanted to see Lopez finally defend his belt, get the win out of the way, and see what was next for the flashy young champion. And George Kambosos, mandatory challenger, just went in there and was fearless. He talked the right shit and wasn't afraid. And the way he fought that fight and was able to take Teofimo's, first take his onslaught in the first round, you know, how he survived that was impressive. But the fact that he scored the knockdown in the first round when it looked like he was going to get put down and maybe knocked out, he survived all that and then knocked him down. And the momentum swing in that fight just was huge. And then in the 10th round, after he got hurt, you know, and put down himself, to be able to swing the momentum back to him in the championship rounds was huge, as he really was impressive with that and captured the unified title and put himself at the top of maybe the second best division in boxing, but definitely one of the best divisions of boxing. That was a huge win. Number 2, it's close. It's very close. But I got to go with Canelo at number 2 for his 11th round TKO of Caleb Plant to become the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. You know, when Canelo, the pound-for-pound king, is going after an accomplishment like this, it's big-time news. You know, and it wasn't just big for Canelo, it was big for Mexican boxing, which is one of the premier nationalities represented in boxing. You know, it really is. And, you know, a lot of great fighters have come and still are fighting out of Mexico. And Canelo to be at the top of the division, be the most popular fighter in the sport, the pound-for-pound king, all those things rolled into one, and then he wants to become the first Mexican to become an undisputed champion. And just to become an undisputed champion in itself is huge. Taking on an undefeated guy, you know, there was a lot of buildup. Caleb Plant called Canelo a drug cheat, and, you know, really got under Canelo's skin. You saw the press conferences between the two. They couldn't stand each other. And it all came to an end, and Canelo just went out there and did his thing and dominated and became the undisputed super middleweight champion with that win. That was huge. That was a big-time win. But I got to give title win of the year. It's close, but I got to give it to Alexander Usyk for his 12-round unanimous decision over Anthony Joshua. Because, you know, there were people like myself that weren't going to be surprised if Usyk was going to be able to win this because of his talent. But the fact that Anthony Joshua tried to outbox him and Usyk just completely dominated him and Joshua just looked confused and lost, you know, just made the win that much better for Alexander Usyk. I mean, Anthony Joshua didn't know what to do. And Usyk just took advantage of him completely dominated the action and left no doubt that he was the better man, you know. And it was a big upset. And it was a huge fight. And worldwide, people don't understand how big Anthony Joshua is worldwide, and Alexander Usyk is as well. And this was a monumental fight right here. And for Usyk to come in and score a win like that, and after being the undisputed champion at cruiserweight, to come up in only his 3rd fight at heavyweight and upset Anthony Joshua to capture the unified title, 3 of the 4 belts, was just a monster win. In the heavyweight division, so goes boxing, you know, with the heavyweight division. And boxing is at a high level right now, and the heavyweights are leading the way. And Usyk beating Joshua, one of the biggest names in the sport, was a monster win. So that is the title win of the year for me in 2021. So Alexander Usyk, 12-round decision over Anthony Joshua to become the unified heavyweight champion. So that's the 2021 award for title win of the year, True Boxing Award. I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.